season, partially off the arm of Jalen Green, who had a game-high 36-point outing along with 8 made three-pointers. This is a season after missing the postseason and retooling the roster. Phoenix now finding itself in the hunt for a championship as Steph and the Warriors, their road ends here. So what lies next for the Suns? Well, it's a date with the defending champion Thunder. The two teams split the series earlier this season. For what it's worth, Phoenix has never faced the Thunder in the playoffs since the franchise moved to Oklahoma City. Now it's a new battle brewing. We're back joined by CBS Sports NBA analyst John Gonzalez. And John, coming in, we spoke pregame just about the key for the Suns being able to contain Steph Curry, keeping him from another monster night that we know he is very well capable of, but they managed to keep him and essentially the Warriors at bay for the most part, held them to 4 of 15 shooting. But in your eyes, what did Phoenix do defensively that just made Steph and co so inefficient?
Yeah, he just never really got going, right? The first half, he was very quiet, and like towards the end of the half, he made a couple buckets, and you're thinking, okay, well, maybe in the second half, he's really going to get going. But credit to the Suns, because that was really it, right? I mean, we saw what happened in the previous game against the Clippers, where he had a slow start, and then he got really going in the second half. And you even heard Steve Kerr in the in-game audio tonight saying, oh, we got him right where we want him, right? Same as last game where we're going to mount this massive comeback, but they really couldn't do it. They were down 18, the Warriors were, and that was just too much on a night where Steph Curry only goes for 17 points, 4 of 16 shooting. It's just not enough. You needed more, right? I mean, Draymond was a no-show offensively tonight. That's fine. You don't really expect much from him. Kristaps Porzingis, he only played 15 minutes, and they weren't good 15 minutes. So after having a good game last game, he wasn't anywhere to be found. Same with Al Horford. When the Warriors are led by Pajemski with 23 points and you got 20 turnovers, you've got serious problems. And then on the other side, the Suns, Jalen Green, what a night for Jalen Green. I mean, there's so many nights where you think, okay, Jalen Green, what are you doing out here? Wasn't one of those tonight. He had 36 points, super efficient. Kind of for much of the game, right through like the mid of the fourth quarter, he had more three-pointers than the entire Warriors team combined. It didn't end that way, but like when you're in the middle of the fourth quarter and that's a situation, you got trouble. So that's why the Suns are going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to dive more into those cast of characters you were talking about on the Warriors side, but we did hear Kevin Harlan on the broadcast. He did say during the game, the Warriors are a dynasty that is on its last leg. What does this loss and just failure to make it into the postseason mean for this aging core around Golden State?
Yeah, I mean, when Steph's 38, it's coming to a conclusion anyway, right? I mean, like you only have so many more years of this before Steph Curry is eventually going to retire because age comes for all of us. Now, if there's any silver lining here, it's that the Suns are going to go and get blown out in the first round by Oklahoma City. It could have been the Warriors. You and I were talking earlier pregame about how, we'd like some more Steph Curry in the playoffs. But if you're thinking about it from the Warriors team building perspective, now they get a lottery pick, and they get a lottery pick in a really good loaded draft. And that gives them potentially the chance to draft somebody for the future of their franchise, or they have a whole bunch of picks that potentially they could bundle in order to get help for Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler when he comes back from his ACL injury. They're going to be, and already were, interested in Giannis Antetokounmpo. Maybe they can pry him away from the Bucks. This is one of those situations where you go into the offseason kind of knowing that this was not your year, but maybe next year could be better. And there's only so many more chances that you have with Steph, so they might as well take another big swing.
How big do you think that maybe some of these injuries that the Warriors have dealt with, and I know it's major injuries to key players, but how much do you think that really dictated how far they made it? I mean, at least in the play-in, but do you think that they could have actually been a postseason team?
Yeah, I mean, if Jimmy Butler doesn't blow out his ACL, that's the great what if, right? Because the second that he goes down, that's basically it. That's a wrap on the Warriors season. I mean, Steph Curry is the number one option for all the obvious reasons, right? But what really made the Warriors interesting and potential, I'm not sure that they would be contender level, but they'd definitely be in the playoff mix if Jimmy Butler hadn't gone down, because it gives you a two-way option. He helps Draymond on the defensive end, and then on the offensive end, it really takes some of the onus off of Steph, who has to just do so much. And so once he goes down, then Steph is dealing with his own injury issues, right? And he only plays 43 games, and he missed a huge chunk of the season, both before and then after the All-Star break. And if Jimmy Butler is there, maybe he comes back sooner. Maybe they win some more games. Maybe they're not stuck at the 10 seed. The whole complexion of the season could potentially have changed for the Warriors. And then also you have Kristaps Porzingis, who was dealing with his own injury issues and then his health issues, and he gets traded. So it just was sort of a cursed year for the Warriors.
Yeah, a tough go dealing with a number of injuries. Then you also have a lot of aging stars to go along with it. It's going to be interesting to see what they do this offseason. As you mentioned, they do get that lottery pick by not making it into the postseason. And as you mentioned, these guys are getting older, so maybe this dynasty coming to a conclusion. But let's talk about who was on the winning side of this, because up next is the defending champs who have been awaiting Phoenix. They split the season series in their last game 5 days ago. The Suns actually put up a season high 135 points. That's also tied for the most points the Thunder have given up this season. You did say that you're expecting, the Suns to get blown out by the Thunder, but when you take in consideration how the regular season played out for both of these teams, give me your fair assessment of how you see this series going.
Not well for the Suns, right? I mean, yeah, they put up 135 points. Oklahoma City was locked into the 1 seed for a while, right? That's a game that they did not care about at all. And I just think, look, the Suns have had a really nice season. They won 36 games a year ago. This year, they win 45 games. And they won it after trading KD. And then a guy that they got who was spectacular tonight, Jalen Green, in that trade, goes for 36 points tonight. Of his best games as a Sun. He barely played all season due to injury issues. So for them to even be in this spot where they can, try their best against the defending champions and the number 1 seed in the Oklahoma City Thunder, this is already a win for them. They're playing with house money. So whatever happens in this series, they can come away from this going, hey, this was better than anybody expected, certainly better than anybody other than Suns owner Matt Ishbia expected. And so if they get, as I suspect, swept out of the first round or maybe a gentleman's sweep, they can still hold their heads up high and go, okay, well, we've got some proof of concept on Devin Booker, Jalen Green, and then Dillon Brooks together. That trio, we weren't sure if it was going to work. It looks like it works okay. And then we go into next season thinking that we've got something to build on.
Okay, talk about playing with house money. I mean, getting this far, sure, that's great, but considering that they retooled their roster after not making the postseason a year ago certainly changes, boding well for the Suns. We'll see how the rest of the postseason plays out for them. But as always, John Gonzalez, we appreciate you stopping by with the insight. Well, what's to come for those Phoenix Suns? As we mentioned, a battle against the defending champs. The Thunder can be the first team to repeat as champs since the 17-18 season. As I mentioned, hey, Phoenix, they've won at least one series in 4 of their past 5 playoff appearances. They did split the season series in the regular season. We'll just find out in a couple of days how the postseason will play out for both of these squads. So the field is set. So who does our analyst have making it to the finals? Well, coming up next, we talk about our bracket breakdown. We're diving in the East and we're diving in the West. Don't go anywhere.
This matchup and what makes this game so intriguing to you?
Yeah, I think, the most intriguing thing, the thing you're watching the most closely is always Steph, right? Yeah. That's going to be the case as long as he's playing. So I'm going to give you a different answer because that's the easy answer. I think if I want to see what the Golden State Bigs can do again, because the last game they looked fantastic. I didn't expect much out of Kristaps Porzingis and Al Horford, and they were excellent. They were crucial to that victory against the Clippers. And, Kristaps has had a rough season. He's had so many injuries. He's had lingering illnesses that have kept him out. He got traded. He only played 32 games. And then against the Clippers, he goes for 20 points, hit the boards, had some really nice passes, blocked a couple shots. He's questionable tonight, but we'll, if he gets out there, we'll see whether or not he can duplicate that performance. And then Al Horford, old man Al, right? There's no way they win that game without Al Horford. He hit 4 big threes in the fourth quarter to mount that comeback, one after the other. He turned back the clock. I did not expect, both of those guys, maybe even just one of those guys to do much, and you got both of them playing great against the Clippers. So can they do it again tonight? If they can, they got a good shot against the Suns.
Man, I hope they can do it again because it was so fun to watch. And when you watch someone like Al Horford, as you said, old man, right, has been in the league for quite a long time. He looked like Game 6 Clay out there in the Warriors. So it was super, super fun. And like you said, Porzingis is listed as questionable, but he is expected to play. So hopefully we'll see him out there and he can keep draining those threes. Golden State banged up, right? There's no question about this. Does that ultimately just come down to Steph Curry, right, needing to be the all-time great that we've seen time and time again? We thought he was going to be in a minutes restriction. He wasn't. Dropped 35. Can we see that again?
That would be excellent, right? I mean, I think a lot of the weight is on him. It always is. I don't think it's all on him, though, because, we talked about Kristaps Porzingis and Big Al, and then Draymond. We haven't talked about Draymond yet. Draymond was unreal versus the Clippers, and sometimes you get bad Draymond and knucklehead Draymond, but they got the good version, the best version of Draymond, especially in the fourth quarter when he absolutely locked down Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi, who's having one of his best seasons of his career and a storied career, made All-Star. He's going to make All-NBA again. He only had 2 points, Katie, in that fourth quarter against Golden State, and that's because, and when he scored the bucket, the game was already over. Draymond absolutely locked him down. Now, yeah, Steph is still the key, right? Because as you mentioned, he was supposedly on a minutes restriction. I was wondering about that. I was thinking, what if the game is close? Is he really going to stay to that? And of course he did not. He goes for 35 points in 36 minutes. Can he do it again, though? Because, look, he's got these injuries, the knee and the ankle. He only played 43 games this season. They didn't rush him back for a reason, and he just turned 38 years old. So time comes for all of us, but he's still Steph. He looked like Steph in the last game. If he looks like Steph again, I think they're moving on.
Yeah, and I'm with you on Draymond, and when I think about it, too, I think we saw a humble version of Draymond because he even came out and said, I had to accept that I could get embarrassed by Kawhi Leonard in this game, and I think it caused him to lock down. Unfortunately, he's got to go up against Dillon Brooks, who knows how to push his button, so hopefully he stays even-keeled in this one. Who's your pick to win?
Oh, I can't wait for Dillon Brooks and Draymond. That one should go well. So, yeah, I had the Suns coming out of the play-in initially. I thought they'd beat the Blazers. They didn't. Credit to Portland. They moved on. And then the Suns have been a pleasant surprise this season. I didn't think they'd be as good as they've been. They only won 36 games last season. They trade Kevin Durant. They end up winning 45 this season. So this season is a win for them. Very impressive. But the Warriors are hot right now. Your Warriors are hot right now. Hasn't been a good season for them, as you know, right? They're the 10th seed in the West for a reason. They lost Jimmy Butler. The offense has been brutal most of the year. Does not matter. They've got the momentum. The Big Mo, they beat the Clips. Draymond's playing well. KP and Al Horford are playing well. Steph looked like Steph. I'm a guy who likes to ride the hot hand. The Warriors have the hot hand. Let's go with the Warriors.
I love it. I hope they can. You know what? The Warriors in the playoffs, it's just good basketball. Yeah. It's fun. We love to see it. So, yeah, I'm rooting for that as well. John, appreciate you coming on and chatting with us. And as we've talked about, the 8th seed is on the line in the East.